If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Others argued that the big metropolitan city has become obsolescent, that decay and pollution have brought a deterioration in the quality of urban life, and New York's downfall could not be prevented.
Central to that vision will be the most ambitious agenda to tackle the cost of living crisis that this city has seen since the days of Fiorello LaGuardia.
They have not been luckier than New York. They simply have been better managed. There's an old saying, the harder you try, the luckier you get. And I kind of like that definition of luck. During the last decade, the officials of New York City have allowed its budget to triple. No city can expect to remain solvent if it allows its expenses to increase by an average of 12% every year, while its tax revenues are increasing by only 4 to 5% per year. What is the solution to New York's dilemma?
They told us the federal income tax was temporary, yet here we are, still paying Washington to mismanage our own money. And after these latest election wins, the folks promising change might just double down on the same broken system. Today, we're cutting through the campaign noise, digging back to when New York went broke. Ford said, drop dead, and Trump said, I'll fix it. Because this isn't just politics, it's payroll theft dressed up as policy. So buckle up. On West Virginia Wire today, this is Regina Reacts and Rants, the great American switch. All right, everybody, let's start with the obvious. Election night was wild. Some of these results were expected, but a few of them sent shockwaves through the political world. In New York, progressives solidified their hold, while Omar Fattah's loss shows that voters are tired of polished talking points and want results. This isn't just about blue versus red anymore. This is about who's actually steering the ship.
And as you saw from the clicks, Mamdani is doubling down on freezing rent and making the transit system free and faster. What exactly does he mean by that?
Exactly, Mary Beth. What does he mean by that? So let's take the freezing of rent, right? I don't know how I feel about that. Landlords, this would be a good time for you to chime in. Let us know how you feel about that. Are you a good landlord? Are you charging exorbitant rental rates that you shouldn't be? I'm not sure how all of that works. So if you guys know, let us know. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. As far as the public transit system, so Big Russ, my husband, and I were discussing that earlier today, and I posed the question, what do you mean make it faster? Making it free is one thing and then making it faster. And so Big Russ said, well, maybe if they don't have to, pay and all of that, it does make it go a little faster. I proposed the other side of it. I said, I've heard people speak from New York. I've talked to people from New York, and I've never really heard anybody complain so much about the transit system not being as fast. The major complaints that we hear about are the crime rates, the violence, all of that. So maybe that's what's slowing down the transit. I'm not sure. Let us know if you know. What do you think, my lady?
You're spot on, my lady. I think you raise a great point. Making transit free might streamline things a bit, but if the real issue is safety, that's a whole other conversation. So folks, chime in. Do you think free and fast will fix it, or is safety the bigger issue here?
Yeah, and while we're talking about that, we'll have to dig in further to this. I was under the impression that Mr. Mamdani wants to release criminals. He doesn't think jails and prisons is the answer. While I can't say that I completely disagree with him, where's the accountability for criminals and what do you consider a criminal? So those are all questions we need to pose. We're not even going to get into the faith and religious aspect of it just yet, but that's coming. So anyway, exactly. But here's the thing. Every one of these wins or losses ties directly to money. Who's paying the bills? Who's writing the checks? And who's controlling the purse strings? So before we get into where he is heading, let's rewind a bit back to when New York itself nearly went broke. Go.
The year was 1975. New York City, the powerhouse of America, ran out of cash. They were paying out more than they were taking in, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. Then President Ford looked at the numbers and basically said, "You did this to yourself." That's where the famous headline came from, "Ford to City, drop dead."
Which, for the record, he didn't actually say that word for word, but he might as well have. The message was clear. No bailout.
Exactly. It took state-level restructuring, emergency boards, and some brutal spending cuts to keep the lights on. But here's the twist. Before Donald Trump ever considered running for president, he stepped in to help rebuild. His Commodore Hotel project, later the Grand Hyatt, and the Woolman Rink rebuild were symbols of a turnaround. Whether you like him or not, he had a knack for seeing profit where others saw ruin.
And just to go a little bit deeper into how bad off New York was back then, I mean, garbage was filling and lining the streets because the garbage workers couldn't go to work because they weren't collecting a paycheck, so they had to seek out other sources of income, which I dare say
were...
were...
You work, and you don't know whether you're going to get paid on Friday. 2 weeks ago, they stopped the checks. They wouldn't pay some of the men. We were fortunate. We got our checks cashed at 9 o'clock. But the guys that were cashing them in the afternoon, they didn't know whether they'd have money to pay the bonds. And I don't know, how can you work? You work a week and then don't know whether you're going to get paid at the end of the week.
It took state-level restructuring, emergency boards, and some brutal spending cuts to keep the lights on. But here's the twist. Before Donald Trump ever considered running for president, he stepped in to help rebuild. His Commodore Hotel project, later the Grand Hyatt, and the Woolman Rink rebuild were symbols of a turnaround. Whether you like him or not, he had a knack for seeing profit where others saw ruin.
Time. It is that time. The Woolman Ring at Central Park is back open for business. Officials say there are new skates, a new clubhouse, a new merch shop, a new cafe. The iconic ring welcomed back skaters under new management. It's an alliance between several companies called Woolman Park Partners. Tickets will cost skaters anywhere between $6 and $23. And by the way, Mike, I was there when this Woolman Ring could not open.
I remember hearing about that.
The city was in charge of it. They couldn't open the darn ring. It was one problem.
It was a mess, right?
Year after year spending I don't know how much money. They couldn't get it open. They brought in Donald Trump in the 80s. He did it in 6 months. He opened it. And now
Donald Trump's role in the Grand Hyatt's demolition and the Commodore Tower project. Trump's involvement with the Grand Hyatt Hotel goes back to the 70s when he took over the struggling Commodore in a bold move that helped establish his reputation as a real estate mogul. Trump, in partnership with the Hyatt Corporation, bought the property in 1976 and through a massive renovation transformed it to the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The renovation included a significant tax deal with the city, granting Trump a 40-year tax abatement to encourage the investment. The deal was key in making the project financially feasible and also marked one of Trump's early successes in New York real estate. However, Trump's direct involvement with the Grand Hyatt Hotel ended in 1996 when he sold his stake to the Hyatt Corporation for $142 million. This sale removed him from the picture in terms of ownership and management. So when the decision to demolish the Grand Hyatt and construct the Commodore was announced, Trump was no longer involved with the building or the site itself.
Now let's zoom out. Let's jump in our time machine and take a trip back in time. Before 1913, the federal government did not tax your paycheck. Washington was funded by tariffs, which are taxes on imported goods, and excise taxes on things like whiskey and tobacco. But then came the 16th Amendment, and suddenly Uncle Sam wasn't just taxing trade, he was taxing time.
Meaning every single hour you work is now a federal income source. The shift from tariff to income taxes didn't just raise money, it centralized power in DC.
Exactly. Instead of funding America through production and trade, we started funding it through labor. And over time, that gave Washington permanent leash on the states. They stopped managing commerce. They started monetizing citizens.
Fast forward to today, and what do we have? A government so addicted to debt that even if it wanted to stop taxing you, it couldn't. Inflation, interest, overspending, they all feed the same beast. Meanwhile, states that used to stand tall now beg for their own tax dollars to be returned in the form of federal aid.
And the kicker, if a state doesn't want to play federal ball with policy, Washington can just withhold the money that came from the people to begin with.
That's it. Federal control disguised as generosity. So when you hear a new administration promising aid, just remember they're giving you back your own wallet.
Yeah, and the same holds true on the state level as well. Let's find out what they're taxing us for, why we're paying it, what programs it's going to, and if we are seeking funding from the federal government, which is what it's supposed to be there for. And I dare say that, tariffs and trade could provide that too. We can be enacting all of these same logical policies, and other communities that may not be as wealthy can thrive as well. So I don't know what that looks like for you or where you're at. Let us know in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. Now, let's move on. So let's talk about Mamdani's recent post and his new ad campaign that he needs funding. Excuse me, one moment. He needs more money and donations for the transition period. So he needs you to donate money to him in order to make things free for you. Make that make sense to me. I'm not sure.
I am as ignorant as you.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Well, folks, you've done it again. We can't take any more of your money. Truly, you need to stop. Thanks to you, we've raised the maximum amount of money we can spend in this race, $8 million. And you've done it with more than 2 months to go until the election. So that means we got it in the bag, right? Wrong. You think Bill Ackman's gonna sit back and let us walk into City Hall? No! He's gonna write a very long tweet and then cut an even bigger check to one of our opponents. So get ready to see a lot more scary videos of this face on your TV. On January 1st, I will be your mayor. New Year's Day, and a new era for this city. Oh, and one more thing. Remember how I told you a few months ago to stop sending us money? You can start again.
I think we might have a hustler here.